Yes, it's just us.
Good evening. This is the September 18th, 2019 meeting of the Laconia Conservation Commission. I am Dean Anson.
Deb Williams.
Lisa Moran.
Planning Director Dean Trefethan.
Ashley Ruprecht.
Okay, and we have a guest, Steve Smith. Right, and we do not have a quorum at this time, so we'll have a pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we're going to change the order of events here, and we're going to start with new business, and that's PL 2014-015-158, amended site plan for Lot 8 Beechwood. Steve Smith and Associates who did this.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Smith and Associates for the record, representing the Remingtons in Beechwood, Lot 8, and I have another plan, a reviewed plan. I have the original site plan that you guys reviewed and I got approved for conditional use, which is the first plan, in case you don't have it. And then the second plan is the same one you have right there, which is the amended site plan. Probably should have given these to you before. We got the conditional use permit for this project back in 2014. And we've been in every year since then getting it extended to the planning board. And I brought a copy of the last extension, the November 14, 2018 meeting, extending it to November 6, 2019, and a copy of the original conditional use permit. We have decided not to ask for another extension. We've decided to make some adjustments in the plan and go back and get a new conditional use permit. And it's my understanding from Mr. Remington's attorney, Mr. Dyer, that we are going to be in, or Rod is going to be in to see the planning department, and we're going to basically request from the planning board a conditional use permit that we don't have to keep coming back in and get it updated every year. Nothing's changed, and the whole purpose of this conditional use permit is that it's very difficult to sell a lot if no one knows that they can build on it. And a little history, the Beechwood cluster subdivision took place back in the year 2000. And at that time, the wetland setback had just been adopted, and it was 30 feet for all wetlands, basically. So we have a cluster subdivision on record with the wetlands and all the wetlands buffers, and they were all 30 feet. This lot happened to be in a situation where if you go to the 75-foot buffer that was adopted after Beechwood was approved and recorded, there wouldn't be any building lot. And so therefore, we came in and had to ask for a conditional use permit. They're marketing the property, and they can't really market it without having some kind of a conditional use permit so people know what they can do. That was the purpose of the plan originally when we came in before this board in 2014. The major change that we have made here is that we've actually adjusted the location of Lot 8. And if you look at the original site plan and you look at that quite a large wet area up in what would be the northwest corner of Lot 8 on that plan, and you turn to the amended plan, you'll see that what we have done is we've basically shifted the lot southerly, trying to put more upland property in the lot and less wetlands in the lot, and get it further away from Lot 8, which doesn't show on this plan, which is the lakefront lot. And because we decided to shift the lot, we've decided that it would probably be best to come back in and do the amended site plan, which I'll actually be coming into the planning board with an amended subdivision plan to amend Lot 8 and a conditional use permit for the amended site plan for Lot 8. And basically, we have the same building that was being proposed. It's been relocated. I've kept the same construction notes, and I've actually kept the same conditional approval notes that were placed on it, based on my meetings, actually, with this board. We came up with these notes. So I've changed nothing about the conditional use permit. I've really changed nothing about what we're doing, other than I've shifted the lot down with the building, gave it more upland area, less wetland area within the lot itself, but it's still, you still couldn't build on it. 75 feet would encompass most of the building, and you wouldn't be able to put a building on it. But what it does is it gets a lot further away from the wetland, the largest section of the wetland. It gets it further away from the lake. We think it's a better location for the lot, and will allow them to less impact really to the buffer itself of that wetland. So the plan's the same, in basically just shifted. I wanted to come here before I filed my application with the planning board. I haven't done that. My goal would be to file an amended subdivision plan in October and file for a conditional use permit in October, and it'll run its course with that process. So this is the first board I've come in to see on it. I didn't want to file it and then come in here. I'd rather come here first, so. And as I say, I haven't really changed anything. I think we've made the lot better. We've decreased the amount of wetland in the lot, but we still need to have the 30-foot buffer, or it's a non-building lot. And it was really approved based on the 30-foot wetland buffer to start with for the whole Conservation Commission, the whole cluster subdivision itself. I'm thinking that, I believe this is the only lot that really was impacted. Lot 8 and Lot 7 on the water, the house was already there. That hasn't changed. There was some impacts because of that going from 30 to 75, but the building's already there, the footprint's already there, so this is really, I think it's fair to say that this is the only lot that really got impacted that we need the relief on. And if there's something I need to do that this board would like me to do that I haven't done, or that differently, then I'll take that into consideration and amend my plan accordingly if I have to. But as I say, it really hasn't changed from what we all agreed on some time ago.
What kind of vegetation is in the wetland buffer now? What kind of vegetation?
It's all wooded.
Okay,
Got both upper and lower stratum, undisturbed.
okay.
This is the division that used to be St. Helena's, is that right? St. Helena's.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I've got a hearing aid in, but it's not working very well lately.
This, is this subdivision the one that was where St. Helena's Church was?
Where what?
St.
The
Helena's
the church was, but it's down the road.
No, well, this is
No?
below that. It's
Yeah.
in that same area. You'd go
Okay.
down that street
Because I'm looking,
to
yeah.
get into it on a wooded road that goes into it, or you go on Wentworth Cove Road
Okay.
and come back around, which is the normal way of getting into this property. There is a woods road that gets into it from Pendleton Road. So, and basically, it's the same thing as that you were originally approved. It's really the same thing that's the conditional uses have been extended on, but because we've adjusted the lot and we would like to go ask the planning board if there's somehow we can get a conditional use permit that will run with the cluster subdivision, instead of coming back every year for the same thing. I don't know if we're gonna be successful on that, to be honest with you, but they would like to try that.
So the lot isn't sold yet, or it is sold?
No, but they've got someone interested in both this lot and the lot in the front, buying the two together. I mean, it could end up that someone buys it, the front lot, and nothing gets built on that lot.
Right.
You know, it's just depending on the market and what they do.
So you're basically looking for conceptual consensus?
Well, it's requirement under the conditional use for me to come to the Conservation Commission. They usually draft their comments and that goes to the planning board.
Right.
I just try to understand those comments early on, so if there's something I can do before I go to the planning board, I'm not debating something that's not, you know, no sense in debating. There's something we can do to try to make this better, then I try to do that. I'd rather not be in here at all. I'd rather not be in the buffer. We work, you know, I haven't been here very often in the last year. We work very hard to keep people out of the buffers and out of the wetland, but that isn't always, you know, you don't always have that ability based on the lots, especially pre-existing lots that people have bought and, you know, that are old.
So the property's going to be connected to sewers? Is that right?
Yes, there's municipal sewer there.
Okay,
Yep. That's all in.
yeah.
The lot hasn't been, I mean, there's a service connection for Lot 8, because obviously it hasn't been built on, but the sewer's in.
And this is not a condominium development, this is,
Just, it's a
Single
cluster
family.
subdivision. And a unique one at that. Because it's not a cluster subdivision under the current cluster ordinance, nor is it a cluster subdivision under the original cluster ordinance. But it's a cluster subdivision with an agreement between the city of Laconia and the property owner at the very beginning on a maximum number of lots and certain things that would happen. Actually, we've actually reduced the lots already. We took a lot out of the middle and combined. We've reduced it by one lakefront lot by splitting that lot in half and putting it into two other existing lots.
the triangular shaped piece in the northwestern, that used to be part of this lot,
That's right.
and now what's this gonna be?
It's common area.
Okay,
It's common area and it's, you know, and then this is the wetland conservation area back there. But there's a bunch of common area throughout the whole subdivision.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody have any other questions?
I mean, since it's already been gone through the
Right.
process several times, it's not, I don't feel compelled to.
So the construction notes were partially from us, is that correct?
I think they were all developed through my meetings with the Conservation Commission. Yep. As I say, usually my goal is to come here first and get the things that are necessary from the Conservation Commission before filing that application with the Planning Department.
Do you know if there's any invasives on the lot?
Hmm?
Are there any invasive species on the lot?
I'm not aware of any. I don't believe so.
Okay, so when this is sold, is there going to be any note to the homeowner, the new owner, that this wooded area can't be cut without approval?
I think in the condominium, I mean, the cluster subdivision documents that's in there, but it's on all the plans is the wetland buffer. I mean, I can put a note on the plan if there needs to be another note on that, but that's the idea of the wetlands buffer, unless otherwise approved by this board. All I'm requesting is to reduce that buffer to the original 30 that the original cluster subdivision was approved at, because this happens to be the lot that, if you go to the 75-foot buffer, you don't have a lot anymore.
So where you have the silt sock, basically to the rear of the building, that's the 30-foot.
Yeah, it was basically at the 30-foot. So I can't show both lines and you see one and not see the other, but yeah, that's the idea.
Right.
Yep, and right behind that would be the orange snow fence.
Yeah. So after the house is constructed, they essentially have no rear yard,
That's true.
correct?
Yep.
I mean, they got a foot or two in most places.
They got a screen porch. They have no, it's gonna be wooded back there.
Yep, okay,
Yep.
all right.
I mean, if the board wants me to, I actually can put a note within the buffer the 30-foot buffer to remain undisturbed on this plan, because this is gonna be part of the record and stuff. I really
I
haven't
think that
thought,
would be a good idea.
yeah, I haven't thought of that but,
That
Sure.
would just take any question away from the
Yeah.
homeowner. Yep.
I guess the thing that's a little frustrating for me is, you'll put that note, and we'll give you comments and all that. And then people go and they cut anyway.
but that can happen on this whole,
Yeah, I know, and so it's a generic question of, what do we do when they do that?
well, sometimes, quite frankly, sometimes trees have to be cut because they're a danger or they're dead.
Yes.
Those things, but it's like the shoreland permit. There's trees you can cut in the 50-foot, but you can't stump it. You can't get in and grub it and that kind of stuff,
Is there a fine? If somebody strays from the site plan, the approved site plan, is there a fine or,
Our usual first response to them is to get them to replant, come to an agreement to replant.
With the same size trees?
Same kind of trees, or compatible, but, I mean, if we can't come to an agreement, then, yeah, I mean, the eventual process takes them to court, and in theory, the court can levy fines.
and how we would find out whether that has actually happened or not would be, are there periodic, and I don't want to say, like windshield inventories or windshield inspections, or somebody would need to complain?
I do weekly inspections.
Well-
And then, well, for properties, sometimes basically we'll get an inquiry that comes in that says, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And then if we don't hear anything, we're like, maybe we take a ride over and just check it out.
Right.
So kind of keep an eye on.
Where this is like a homeowners association or whatever, anyway, somebody is going to be checking up on it. There's somebody who's got a
Yeah, I
authority.
mean, usually it's the neighbors that,
Blow the whistle.
Yeah.
one way or the other, say, they either tell them, you're not supposed to do that, and then they call us and ask.
I already got a call from the lot in front, Lot 7, people that were interested in buying it, and they already asked the owner to ask me if they could fill over there or cut over there and do anything in the wetlands, and I already explained to them that they can't do anything in that wetland. I mean, that's natural, that's a common occurrence. I believe in this process, though, under the conditional use permit, on a building permit, there's an inspection on the silt sock and the orange fencing before construction starts. So that establishes the limits of where they can go. And I've always assumed that there is some kind of inspection that goes on to make, because this is a conditional use permit. Now, this isn't just a building permit. It's a conditional use permit tagged to it, which should be popping up when someone comes in for the building permit. So there should be, I believe there's a process at their department. But again, when that's done, 3 years down the road, and that's done, and these people sell and someone else comes in, yeah, that is a problem, I'm sure, a question. I haven't got a magic answer for how you,
No, my comment was more to the planning department
Yeah.
as to how we can handle this, because, I lived in an association where they did it. They did it, they were supposed to cut 20 trees, and they cut 60 trees.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, we made a mistake. Okay.
well, we had this similar situation at the airport. We gave the town of Guilford a huge conservation easement on, I don't know, 70 acres, I think, out there. And what we did was that we had to go out and we had signs made as conservation area, no cut area, and we had to go around the perimeter of that entire 70 acres and put those on. That hasn't stopped people from cutting, I can tell you, but that's what we did. That was an attempt. So people, they look out and they see a sign there, it says conservation area, no cut zone, or whatever you want to say on it.
Right. Okay, I don't want to tie you up, Steve.
No, I think it's
I
a good
appreciate it.
conversation. It's, that is sometimes an issue. There's no question about it.
Okay, anybody have any additional comments, suggestions, ideas?
No.
So maybe a note on the plan, wetland buffer zone, no cut zone or something on the plan, that.
No,
we think-
not to be disturbed.
Not to be, well,
Yeah.
sometimes people don't, no cut, not to be disturbed. I think I need to get that no cutting thing in there, not to be disturbed on the plan. If that's what I will do, and of course,
Great.
your tech will get a chance to see it anyways, and the planning department. But I'm happy to do that. Well, you can keep that for the record.
If the rest of our committee comes in and has any other suggestions, we'll just pass them on.
Yeah, if you just pass them on to me, get something in writing, and then I can put it in my file, and I'll put that note on the plan, and anything
Great.
else that comes out of
Great.
conversations with other people that weren't here.
Okay,
Okay?
good. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Have a good night.
As always.
Every board should be at 6 o'clock.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes from August 21st. Anybody have any comments?
Mr. Chair, I do have one comment, actually. I think, is the date on this agenda incorrect? I think we need to, I don't know if you keep the agendas with the minutes, but I think the date on this agenda should be changed.
The date of the minutes?
The date of the agenda? The
The
agenda
date?
says September 4th, and I don't know if she keeps this as a document, too.
No, so that's the minutes. And then,
Did I print off the wrong agenda?
No, there's,
Yeah.
Oh,
This-
it's the
these are the
agenda that
minutes.
goes with the minutes.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, you did.
Light
This is,
dawns.
it's okay. It's
Because
all
I
right.
don't have tonight's agenda then.
this is tonight.
Okay.
You don't have tonight's agenda?
She does, she can look at mine, that's fine.
I definitely, there is
Here.
September
I
18th.
I wasn't wrong in the process, I just was screwed up on my,
Here you go. You don't have an agenda for tonight? There you go.
well, yes, actually, there was one over there. Thank you. All right.
Okay, so
Marty.
any comments on August 21st? No comments? No comments on the 21st?
Right.
Okay. Okay, so
I mean,
we don't have a quorum to
table
approve.
them, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So, okay, so we'll table the minutes until the next meeting,
Until Wesley gets here.
or until Wesley gets here.
So, Mr. Chair, I do have one question, and this is just these are quite extensive minutes, and I applaud the person who did them in such detail. And I don't know if the city is looking to have them in this level of detail, or if we actually require, I mean, I'm just thinking of staff, do we continue to want them in this amount of detail, or would lesser? I'm only thinking of staff time and what our real needs are, and I don't know what the city feels, but,
The requirement for minutes really is to record motions and actions. Everything in between is just supporting information. You know, so when you make a motion, people understand why you either approved or denied an application or a motion. The level of detail is strictly up to you as a board. I will say that in certain instances, not so much at this board, but say at the planning board level or the zoning board level, we may put more detail on a certain application than we normally would, only because we suspect that there may be legal proceedings and we want to make sure that we've got everything covered. Where you're an advisory board, that's usually not, you know, a situation that you have to worry about.
I do have a question, and so, because this is also recorded, there is also another form of documentation.
Yes.
If something were not in the minutes that we approve, and then information from the recording was used, it wasn't in the minutes, but information from the recording was used, is that still all okay with you, and?
Yes, as a matter of fact, if something does go to court, we usually include a copy of the audio or video recording, whichever we have, as, you know, so people can see what was actually said.
Thank you.
I will just add, the September 9th meeting, actually, there was an error with the recording because the flash drive that is necessary to record the meetings was not there as it was supposed to be, so I grabbed a different flash drive thinking that would work. It didn't, so I was more detailed in September 9th.
All the more reasons to applaud you.
Thank you.
So anyway, I just brought it up for discussion, that's all.
Right. Incredibly detailed, very nice, but maybe we don't need quite as much. I don't know if you, I mean, or do you like, I mean, I'm just,
You know, I think that, my thought is, we're relying on the planning department to support us. And if Ashley thinks that this is the level of detail that we need, then I think that's what, I think we're relying on her. We're not instructing her. We only want 2 pages, you know, the notes. I'm trusting her to make the decision that she thinks is in our best interest.
Okay, well, I think that's,
reasonable, yeah.
yeah, so thank you, Dean, for looking at it that way, too.
Okay,
Yeah, so,
okay.
So
Thank you.
however you'd like to do it.
yep, sorry, no more guidance in that.
I mean,
I tend to go overboard in the beginning and gauging what you guys like. And
Okay, that's
And it-
great. That's
it's-
exactly what I would
it's great,
want to
but-
see.
yeah,
When we see how we work, then, you know, it works better. Okay,
Awesome.
good. Okay, so we're going to table these until Wes gets here or until the next meeting, when we have a quorum. Okay, so now we're into we don't have any applications? Okay. All right, so we're into old business. So we got the United Way Day of Caring event. And Ashley and I talked about this, and given that we don't have a lot of people to contribute to the effort, we're going to support what's being done in terms of the WOW trail and removal of invasive species. Is that right?
Yes, so the meeting point would be the intersection of New Salem Street. So over by where the train station is at 9 a.m. on the 25th. Parks has a group starting on the WOW trail at the Belmont line, working northeast towards us. So if we were moving quickly, maybe we could meet halfway, but she actually doesn't have volunteers at the moment meeting us at that location, so
Okay.
it's basically whoever from planning or from Conservation Commission wants to be a part of the event. That's where we're meeting. She has all the supplies and tools. The only thing that we need to bring is gloves, appropriate clothing. So she's gonna give me, the paper, yard waste bags, loppers, rakes, shovels, so. And then she said all I need to do is just let her know where we're gonna drop different areas along the trail, where we're gonna be leaving just collective bags,
Okay.
so.
So, Mr. Chairman, since our last discussion about this, the organization that I work for has also put in, but not for Laconia. And I should, based on the number of volunteers that they're getting, I probably should be there. Do we have enough people working with them that I have your permission to not be part of this in Laconia?
That should be fine. It's just gonna be myself and Dean, if you're able to attend, and Lisa, I'm not sure if you're busy or
That's
not,
Debbie.
or Deb.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm at school, sorry.
Why don't you bring those kids with you?
no one's responded to
We
the
have enough
email,
energy.
so I don't have a head count at this time of who's planning to attend,
Okay, all right.
so.
So I think, this is a reasonable way to do it, we would support them.
Yep.
Because we don't have that many
But
people.
we're supporting them, but we're gonna be on our own.
Right.
in
Oh, okay.
that one section.
Okay.
Yep, so she's gonna give me all the stuff ahead of time.
Were you because I had offered the truck, my organization's truck to pick stuff up. Do you still think you need that?
I don't think we'll need it.
Okay.
Cause Amy's gonna they have a bunch of stuff going on and a bunch of
Sure.
trucks going around, so.
We'll just
we're
put it
gonna
on
be
the
a
train.
Point for them anyways on the WOW trail.
I just wanted to ask so that I knew what my schedule might be. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And I have a truck if we need it, so. Okay, good. Thank you. And I went over to the library, the Laconia Library, and behind the library, there's a lot of, at least bittersweet.
Oh, yeah.
They are planning to do invasives at the library. The
Nice.
Parks and Rec that's on their list. I think
Good.
they have, I think she said 25 fifth graders or
Oh, dear.
some large amount of fifth graders
Wow.
are going to be going crazy on invasives over by the library, is what I've been told.
Nice.
Okay, that should be fun. Let's bring plenty of chocolate.
Yeah.
Must be Pleasant Street.
Good.
Good.
All right, thanks. Okay, the Pearly Pond update. Are they going to trim the tree on the 23rd, rain or shine?
I believe so,
Because it's supposed to rain.
is it?
Well, that's the forecast. Stay tuned. It could be
I
snow.
know they're planning on the
A week away.
23rd. If something changes, I'll let you know.
Okay, and they did put, how many articles did they put in the paper, do we know? It was at least one.
Hey, I only saw one.
Okay. Okay.
That's enough.
Mr. Director, given what happened to this commission when we proposed some actions years ago,
I read those.
it might be a good idea to have some sort of a statement prepared so that when you get phone calls about what is your department doing to this tree, you can point them in the right direction.
Duly noted.
Are they planning to keep the branches?
I don't know.
Okay. 'Cause,
Top secret.
well, we did, I mean, we
Oh, yeah.
talked about, using samples or selling samples or making them
Commemorating
into
them.
pens.
Yeah, commemorate,
Christmas ornaments.
memorabilia.
Larry could help.
We could do that.
If they're going to, if they're just gonna take the branches away, maybe we could find one of the chainsaw artists who could, make use of those and, make some pearly Oak.
toothpicks.
I can ask and see
Characters.
what their plan is to do with the trees, and then we'll go from there. If they're gonna take them, then we can see if we can make some use of them.
And they may be sawdust, it's hard to say,
There are branches on the ground there now that have apparently fallen. And when I went by, there was tonight, there was a groundhog who was,
Oh, really?
he was,
Oh, that's sweet.
well, I don't know about that, but,
You know,
okay. All right, good. So we don't have to do anything with the Pickerel Pond. I mean, the Pearly
Pearly
Oak.
Pond. I was
We
like,
don't have to
what?
do that, yeah, okay. So tributary sampling, I had this idea. The Winnisquam Watershed Network is getting ready to do another round of sampling of their tributaries. And one of the tributaries is Durkee Brook. And I'm gonna be one of the people doing that sampling. So I could let you know what day we're gonna do the sampling, then you could meet us at the Durkee Brook, which is over, you know where it is? It's over,
So that I can get there.
it's, where the party experience is? Where the gas station, there's a gas station?
not party
Cheapo
experience.
Depot or something down that way.
We'll get it there, don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the tire place.
Still learning the ropes here.
And it's, it might just be good for you to observe it. Just that one sampling location, but,
Mr. Chairman, can I also bring something up?
sure.
That was also, that location, one of the people, not at this year's annual meeting of the Winnisquam Watershed Network, but at last year's meeting, somebody had brought up that she thought there was some sort of sheen and something leaking from maybe some pipes there, and I know Evan went and checked it out. So I'm just making, if I have the email, I'll send it to you again, because I was in on that, but there might, if you see any outfall pipes or whatever, I know that last year, somebody had complained about a discharge, and I haven't heard anything since. but-
Okay. The thing that, in the previous samplings of tributaries by the Watershed Network, that location, Durkee Brook, has the highest conductivity readings of any of the samples. Now, it could be due to a lot of things. My suspicion is that the parking lot for the party, whatever it is, experience or whatever, there is an intentional
Dip,
what?
dip.
No, it's not a dip. They intentionally have formed the asphalt so it directs the water runoff from the asphalt directly into the brook. Now, I don't know whether we can suggest, require, whatever the word is, for that to be changed.
I'm getting, I'm sorry, Deb, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it also, it flows through a very nutrient-rich area as far as the ground that it even goes by the cemetery.
Well, I'm not sure if you have soil erosion at the cemetery, but I'm not sure how much you have leakage from actual body storage there, but
It's an old cemetery.
it is a very
It's,
old
you know,
cemetery,
it's-
it is. What
Sure,
I'm,
there's a lot of nutrients, sorry.
no, I didn't mean to step on you, I'm sorry. What I'm having a hard time, because there's Durkey Brook and then there's Meadow Brook, which is on the uphill side. And I'm trying to think, do they converge before they get, because what I'm getting at is that doesn't the South Street, isn't that used for some sort of storage, snow storage, or that city lot at South Street? Just going for the conductivity, if there's a snow storage anywhere near that, you've got salts being concentrated if they're trucking snow there, so that may be another reason that there's a higher conductivity because of,
Right, so we did not go up the stream to look for, problems.
I'm
Wes,
just, hi Wes.
What I said tonight.
I don't know, who do you want to be?
Mr. Foot.
Okay. So I don't know whether it's, runoff from this property that we're getting this conductivity, this high conductivity reading, or if it's from upstream. We didn't test that. But, we certainly could do it. It would be easy enough. We have the meter, we just go upstream and collect a sample and screen it for conductivity.
See how the initial samples go, and if we're getting the same high readings, then we can
Then we,
go from there.
we can, I think they call it bracketing, bracket it up to, okay,
Just let me know when, and I'll
Right.
plan to meet you out there.
okay.
And
I
is
Great.
haven't heard back from Sarah, I haven't heard back from Sarah Steiner, from DES about supplies for the tributary samples, cause I did
Oh,
reach out
really?
to her. So, cause our buffers are expired by like
Right.
2 years.
Oh, good.
Well, yeah, my suggestion to Ashley was, I have the buffers for Winnisquam Watershed Network. And rather than buy buffers that will expire before we need to use them again next year, let's just use Winnisquam Watershed Networks. They won't have a problem with that, and,
We can
because we're not
order
gonna
our-
use that much.
Right, and we could order ours.
And then we
For-
order
for-
ours for next year
For the
instead of
spring.
this year.
Yeah.
That would just save us some money.
Yeah, they only last for about a year and a half.
Is Durkey Brook there, is that the bridge that is scheduled to be replaced by the state next summer?
Next spring.
Next spring? Okay,
Great, mower road closures.
it's incredible, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
So-
No, go ahead.
No, I didn't have anything to say.
I mean, I don't know if there's any difference in the engineering or any suggestions when they create the new pipe system or whatever that's going to carry the stream under there.
I believe it's a bridge,
Oh, just,
not a culvert.
okay. Okay. That's good.
So deep water sampling, I do have a date set for October 3rd to go out on Pogus again. So if someone would like to join me, I do like having, well, we kind of need 2 people to do
October
it, so
3rd.
I don't, if I could take a willing volunteer.
Okay, so how long does it take? How long did it take you? Few
2
hours?
hours,
2?
2,
Okay,
I always plan for 2.5 just in case.
okay.
But 2, and we're getting faster now that, Bob helped us last time, showing us the ropes, so I think it'll get easier.
Okay, okay. I'll put it on my calendar. I think I can,
Okay. So we're planning for 9 AM on the 3rd, meeting
Okay.
at the water department.
so the water department on Union Avenue. Okay. Okay, what about the state school property? There was an article in the paper today saying they're trying to get some additional monies to continue testing.
They had a meeting Tuesday. They're kind of in limbo because the state budget has not been approved. So they're working that angle, to try to get their money restored. They have some money in the proposed budget, not as much as they had hoped, so they're trying to either, number one is to preserve what's in the budget already, and number two is try to increase it. And then the second thing they're doing is they're proposing to change the commission to an authority. That gives them more power to manage the property and sell the property and those kinds of things. Whereas if they're a commission, they have to go through the standard state buying and selling and procuring process, and that is, by everyone's account, a nightmare. So they're trying to pattern themselves after the Pease Development Authority. Obviously, there are some very distinct differences, but the concept of the level of authority is the same. So that's one thing that they're proposing, so we'll see.
If they are proposing that, does there need to be a public hearing on that?
That would be done at the state level. That would be a legislative action.
Thank you.
It doesn't really, from a zoning or conservation standpoint, it doesn't really change anything. The state, whether it's the commission or whether it's an authority, the state is exempt from our regulations. State agencies will usually go through the process as a courtesy, as an advisory type thing, but they're not dependent on actual approvals from, say, planning board or zoning board or whatever. And that's the same whether they're commission or authority. When they get to the point where they actually sell the land to a private individual, a private developer, then that person is subject to everything. And that's the plan, is that they would get a proposed developer for a part of the land. They would sell them that land on the condition that this is what they're going to do, and then they would have to go through all the standard approval process at the city level.
Thank you.
Okay, so you set up these, the authority sets up these, here's what we want to have done.
Right.
And I come in as a developer and I buy it. And I'm going to follow your plan. And your plan did not say I had to deal with any of the wetland issues. So now I bought a pig in a poke.
Now, it would be, one of the things they're going to do is map wetlands.
I'm not just talking about wetlands, I'm
No,
talking about,
Yeah, no, I know. Again, the difference between Pease and this authority is the Pease authority, i.e. the state, is going to own all the land at Pease forever. All those buildings are on a land lease situation. Up here, the plan right now is, at some point in time, everything is sold to a
private
to
developer.
private interests, and therefore but before they start any development, they are required, they would be under all of our regulations. There would be no relief from that.
Okay. Do you know, there was, what's the name of that local eatery, what was the name of it?
Genuine local?
Yeah, Genuine Local.
Yeah.
Are they, is the plan for them to acquire a portion of this still in?
They have made that
Consideration.
proposal, and that is part of their ongoing planning process at this point in time. Yeah.
Okay, so is there a possibility that the commission or authority, whatever they, will subdivide the property
Yes,
and then sell it?
yes.
Okay, so it could be that Genuine,
They would carve
Local.
out pieces for specific proposals.
because I can see this going on for years and years and
Oh,
years.
yeah, no, it's
and years
not
and years.
short-term.
And, you know, I'll be lucky if I have gray hair by then. Okay, okay,
Yeah, me
Good.
too.
thanks.
Old people humor, Wes.
That's okay. Okay, so Pickerel Pond, do we have any sort of a date from the city when they would consider going in and doing the work that has to be done, taking down the buildings, cleaning up some of the trash, take the boat out, cut some of the invasives? Do we have any sort of a plan?
Talk about in the, after it's frozen up or colder so that the machinery wouldn't hurt the
Right,
ground.
right, yeah, I mean, I know, but that's like, that could be October, it could be,
Probably looking at, definitely in the winter time. I'm gonna circle in with DPW and see if we can get a
okay.
tentative date nailed
Yeah.
down, but probably looking
Good.
sometime around December.
I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah,
Good,
so
okay.
I'll talk with them,
Okay,
see if we can just get something on the books.
great.
And if we gotta move it, we gotta move it. You never know what's gonna be like. I've seen Christmas at, 65 degrees, so,
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And we could have snow on Thanksgiving, so,
right.
okay. Good, thank you.
First, Halloween.
Anything else on Pickerel Pond? All right, what, cyanobacteria, I think it's a moot point.
Right.
I think they're, the weather's gotten cold enough, so it's kind of,
Right.
okay. Anything else on cyanobacteria? Okay, subcommittees? Okay, I think that the herbicide Procelacor has already been placed in the water, and the divers are currently working harvesting.
Is this with the Winnisquam group? I believe that's
Well,
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's, all the, Paugus Bay and Opeechee.
It was
and
all the same, okay.
I think that that's right. Okay, all right, good. Okay, so do you want to do a staff report?
Sure. The only other thing that we didn't cover tonight was Lisa did send me information about the NHACC. Their 49th annual conference is November 2nd. So if you want to attend that, it is a Saturday. Let me know. I will register. Anyone who would like to attend, just let me know by the 17th because the early bird rate ends on the 19th, and I just want to have a day to.
I think one of the things that's helpful for you to know when you register us is what sessions we're gonna be attending.
Yep, I need, when you go to do the registration, not that I've registered yet, but you do have to select there's 3 sessions. I think they're each an hour and a half throughout the day, so make sure you label them session 1, 2, and 3. This is what you would like to attend if you do plan on attending.
Okay,
And the early bird special stops
On the
17th.
19th, so I just requested
Of
that,
September, October? October.
Yep, so there's,
right around the corner.
yep,
Yep.
well, there's class descriptions and there's
Yep.
24 different training sessions, so if you wanna take some time to look and see if there's anything that interests you, you got some time.
Okay,
I'd like to just, may I?
Yeah.
Just remind people that the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Districts, so a different group, one letter off, an acronym, and the Conservation District of Belknap County, on October 17th is our stream restoration conference at Gunstock, followed by, in the evening, by a barbecue and opening of the State Conservation District annual meeting. Then the next day, we're having a local foods dialogue at Margate, half day, catered by Annie's. We're having a keynote speaker from Brandeis University and a panel that includes Genuine Local, as well as some others around the state that are, have formed local food networks, and the discussion is about how they did that. And so I will send you that information. It's a Eventbrite link, so she doesn't need to sign you up. I'm just letting, you would sign yourself up.
Try.
I can send it out to,
And I'll send it to you.
You had great press in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did a nice job.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
my chairman.
It was, there were so many articles in that paper
Yes.
on it, it was great.
Okay, the other thing is, you may be aware that the Lakes Region Planning Commission did a study of the Wi-Fi service in the area, in the Lakes region, and found the service level not to be what we were being told. And we had a executive board meeting a week ago, and the LRPC is going to follow up to make sure something is done to improve the service. Now, we did the study, that's great, now what are we gonna do? And nothing was going to be done, and so LRPC is gonna follow up and make sure that the carriers provide, improve their service, whether it means that they have to put up new antennae.
You're not talking Wi-Fi, you're talking cell phone reception.
I'm sorry, cell phone
Okay.
reception. It's all the same to me. We didn't have it when I was a kid. We were catching lightning bugs. Now we don't even know where they are. So,
They're in my backyard.
oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, so anyway, the Planning Commission is going to follow up and make sure that improvements are made. Because, I mean, I drive down.
It's actually gone downhill.
Yeah.
It actually used to be better,
Right.
and now it's worse.
Right, I was just driving on Route 3, just getting into Belmont. Service stops all the time,
It's a dead one.
just get dropped, there's a dead zone. So, anyway,
I have another question. A couple, maybe a year ago, a Facebook page was started for the Conservation Commission, and I don't know if we have any interest in keeping that going, or if you have any interest in keeping that going, or,
I did look into it when I first began, and the page no longer exists.
okay.
I've been told that, it is difficult to post things because then you are representing the Conservation Commission and it might be seen as taking a stance
Okay.
on an opinion or with a business of some sort if you're posting
Sure.
that material. So.
No, I was just asking from the standpoint of PR for the Conservation Commission, because we sometimes think about that, but that's fine.
Well, we still have a page on the city
Yes, website.
site,
Yes, we
On the
do.
website.
and we can always add
Yeah.
things or change pictures or whatever to that, right?
We need, from a city level, we need to get past the lightning bug stage and consider some modernization and be more involved in social media. We're not there yet, but Ashley's right. There's a,
I'd love to have an Instagram.
yeah.
I don't know.
No, well, you're,
Baby steps, baby steps.
well, you're right. I know
Hurtling
know.
into the future.
the town of Guilford has strict, or they did have strict protocols when I looked into it. I mean, I understand what you're talking about, yeah.
So, I mean, we certainly could do a Facebook page that is making announcements and providing information, and then just not allow
Traffic.
comment.
posts and
Yeah.
comments and all that stuff, because that's
But that's
gets out
hard
of
not to.
control, right?
Yeah, it's hard to control.
Yeah, so if you just don't allow it, period, put an email contact or a phone number at the end of every post, so that if someone has a comment or a question, they can send it, but it's not going out to the world,
Yep.
so, but we need to do the same thing with planning, and we need to do the same thing with DPW, and we need to, The
Well-
police have one, and they're kind of, leading the way there, but,
I mean, Laconia Links, I mean, that newsletter is great.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kept up very well,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so,
It's just our normal method of trying to reach the public is through the newspapers. And you're only reaching 10% of the population through that these days. And so therefore, you kind of got to go a different way.
I think at this point, Ashley's time could be better spent doing other things than setting up a Facebook page. But
Well, the reason,
I'm not the boss.
well, and I wasn't trying to give her more.
No,
to
I
it.
understand.
Because I think we were contributing to it. We were sending things to Evan that he would then just post.
Right.
And that was kind of what I was thinking, so.
Right. So, okay, the other thing, Molten Borough, and I think they did this for Waukee is Lakes Region Planning Commission has a project to look at old septic systems. And looking at it from a health regs as well as from zoning regs. And I think what they're considering doing is when a residence changes hands, there's a requirement that you test the septic system to see if it's working adequately.
I don't know why you wouldn't
yeah,
want to do that.
yeah, most people do that.
Right, right. I don't either. But I will tell you, I'm preaching, no, wait, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth at the same time, because when I bought my house, I have a septic system, and I did not have it tested. And mine was put in the late 80s. So, I'm wondering how city council would feel about and having such a regulation, that when you change, you have to test your system, make sure it works, and if it doesn't work properly, then now you have a conundrum. Have any idea how?
How receptive they would be to that?
Mm-hmm.
No idea.
Okay.
It's not, pardon my ignorance, but, I mean, so how much of the city is on the sewer and how much is still on septic?
I'm not sure exactly, but it's a fairly high percentage that's on the public sewer.
Yeah, so it's,
I mean, it's probably
20?
70 to 80% is on
Okay.
the public sewer.
so we're,
I mean, it's only when you get out to Meredith Center Road and parts of Parade Road and that you're really talking about, and all the side roads off them, that
Gotcha.
they're really talking about septics, but, yeah.
And those, and, I live on one of those boonies, and those are the houses that are right on the water. So,
Not all, just within the watershed, or not within the watershed, obviously, everything's within the watershed, but within some distance from the shoreline, is that what you're saying?
so, there was a while when the city was looking at putting sewers in as a way to attract developers, and then get to payment for those
Right.
sewers. My suggestion is that we put the sewers in where we're going to get reimbursed immediately. So, like my neighborhood, for starters.
From an ordinance standpoint, I think it would be easier to just mandate that every septic system at change of ownership is tested, regardless of where it is.
Okay, so what do we have
Because
to
then,
do?
but then it becomes very easy, becomes a very easy thing to convey to the public, and particularly, say, the real estate industry, that this is a requirement, period.
Should there be a minimum or
There definitely,
minimum amount of time, because you see people that flip houses, they'll flip a house within a year.
Right.
They'll buy the house and flip it, so to be the new owner and then have to test it, is that,
Right, and you certainly could, yeah, if
You
it
could
hasn't been
appeal
tested
that.
within a year or something like that, you could do it, yeah, you could do it again, yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
you have to
it's
get
just
into the
it's just
details.
an added cost to the owner.
Right. Yep,
I guess that,
yep, no, that's a good point.
so what do we have to do? My understanding is that Susan Slack at Lakes Region Planning Commission is in charge of the project for Molten Borough.
Okay.
And I think what they're doing is they're developing a way to proceed.
Okay,
So we wouldn't be starting with a blank piece of paper here, and
Right.
she's probably using what was used at Waukee
but there's other municipalities that have that
Right.
ruling, yeah.
Right, but I'm saying that she's currently working on it, so
yep,
it's.
okay, all right. I'll talk to Susan, she's, at least last I knew, she is our, quote,
Our
person.
contact.
Yeah, okay,
Okay, I'm just, with,
Looking ahead. Yeah, you're looking ahead.
well, it's, we have these chemicals now that are, these pharmaceuticals, the water treatment facility cannot remove those.
right,
So the best thing we could do is not to put them in the ground to begin with, so that they get into the groundwater and wind up in the lake. So,
Yep.
okay. Thank you. Okay, so now that we have a quorum, we postponed reviewing the minutes for September 4th and August 21st until you got here and we got your expert comments, so,
Smart.
we know. So, okay, anybody have any?
Move that we accept the minutes from August 21st, 2019.
Seconded.
Okay. Anybody have any comments?
Actually, Mr. Chair, I was not here that night.
I think Robert's Rules of Order say that doesn't make any difference. If you want to question something, you can do that.
Well, I was thinking for the vote, whether you'd like me to abstain or,
No.
okay.
Okay, so anybody have any comments on August 21st? Okay. And in favor of accepting the minutes of August 21st, 2019, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, passes. Thank you. Okay, so now we have September 4th, 2019. Okay, anybody have any comments?
They're very thorough.
I'm sorry?
Said they're very thorough.
We had a discussion on that
We did
before
have
you
a
got here.
discussion on
We
that.
we
There's no
congratulate,
video, so I went
We-
like really.
Well done.
thorough with
This-
the
Well done.
things. I didn't realize it was like 6 pages.
Ah,
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from September 4th, 2019.
a second.
okay, anybody have any discussion, comments?
I see W bastes.
Oh,
Ooh, where's
I
that?
basted turkey.
Yeah,
That's page 1, 2, 3, 4, middle of the page.
okay, you know what, why don't you just mark it and give it to
Sure.
Ashley, and then
Yeah, we got it.
you'll be unbasted. Any other comments? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, anybody have anything else?
Are you gonna make a recommendation on Beechwood or not?
Oh. Does anybody have anything that we want to do on Beechwood? I think Steve's idea of putting comments about no cut,
Markers.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think we want him to keep, at least my idea is to keep him, keep the same conditional approval comments A through, whatever it is, golly, I can hardly read this, holy mackerel, A through, I don't know, whatever it is. A, B, C, D, E, F, must be G, okay. Keep those on the drawing. And, you know, I mean, all these, I think the changes that he made by making that triangle in the northwest corner a common area are, was a good move.
It's better, yep.
And I guess, do they have, this is not a condominium development, these are single-family houses. So in the common area, in the common areas that they have,
Yeah.
does he have a list of acceptable activities for those common areas?
I don't know, I haven't reviewed the homeowners association's documents, so I don't know, but,
It is an HOA?
yeah.
Okay, so maybe if we can ask him for a copy of those HOA rules.
Sure.
That, I don't know if they're rules or
Regulations, huh?
guidances, you know.
Suggestions.
Yeah, yeah, suggestions is, I think that might be too strong a word.
Technical term is bylaws.
Bylaws, okay, yeah, well, okay. I think, you know, that's, if we could read those, we
Sure.
can get to review them.
Yep.
And then, so the next step is he going to the next planning board meeting?
No, he is going to make application, he will go to the October TRC, and then probably the November planning board.
Okay, so in that case, for the October Conservation Commission meeting, we could review his homeowner bylaws.
Yep.
So let's ask him if we can get a copy.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I just, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. Wake boats?
Yeah, so I was telling Ashley that I forgot to write it down, but September 23rd, I believe it's at 9 o'clock, and I will send it to Ashley, and Ashley can send it to you, the announcement, along with the list of people who are on the study commission. So September 23rd is when they're this committee, the study committee is having their first meeting. I talked to Tracy Sales she's the Lakes and Rivers Coordinator at DES, And she said that this is, since it's their first meeting, it's more likely to be an organizational meeting, and they will not have public input. She can't guarantee that, but they probably will not have public input session in it, so that may come down the road or whatever. But anyway, I'll send that to Ashley, the announcement, and she can send it out to you.
Okay, at that organizational meeting, is there going to be, they're gonna form some sort of a committee or commission to look at this? And
Yeah,
then-
they're gonna do their internal, so the committee members have already been set. And when I give that information to Ashley, you'll see the listing of them.
Okay,
This is going to be like determining like who's gonna be the chair, how is this
Oh,
gonna
okay,
work?
okay,
And I
okay.
believe that's what that meeting is for.
okay,
And they may get into some meat about the topic, but it is not anticipated that they're going to be taking public input on anything, because there'll have just been, the one thing though, if you want to go, I mean, it does put you in the room with the people, and you could talk with them before or after, you know, I mean, that's always an option. But, I don't plan on attending myself.
okay. So the one piece of information that I wanted to share was, at the Fish and Game ramp for Lake Winnisquam over on Water Street, we surveyed about 500 boats.
Wow.
And one of the questions that was on the survey is, do you have a ballast tank? And of those 500 boats, nobody had a ballast tank.
Good.
So,
Well, one comment that somebody has made when you look at the list of people on the study commission, that it is industry heavy.
well, I saw that in the paper.
Okay. So that may change. Your observation of how many people actually have them may change. I don't know.
Did you find any boats?
No, not on a PG.
I don't know. How many boats did you do?
I think it was 300-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good. But that's, that's 2019 data. In 2020, when everybody has 20/20 hindsight, it could change. Okay, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Absolutely. Seconded.
Okay, anybody have any comments? No comments, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay,
Mr.
thank you,
Bates?
everybody.
Still 2:00 tomorrow?